G'day, it's Brak here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about lists, or in particular one list, a 1500 point Deathskulls list, which I have built in response to the Warbosses video when they showcased their list they're going to have for a competition. Before we do that, a quick talk about coffee, in particular this one, which was brought to me by the Drunken Orc. So thanks, Drunken. This show is for you, and if you or other people out there would like to help me out and buy me a coffee, then go over to the app and buy me a coffee, or two or three, or how many you would like. I can only drink one at a time, but it'd be muchly appreciated. Oh, fine drop indeed. Alright, let's go and have a look at these lists. Here is 1500 points of Deathskulls. Well, to be precise, it's 1498. So close enough. This list was built in response to the Warbosses lists that they hope to play each other. So you could say this is the list that I would take if I won Lotto and could afford a plane ticket. Now, before you accuse me of tailoring, and there's a little bit of that, but I'd like to point out I drew this list using the principles I would usually use when designing a list for a tournament. And I like to call this the 3-point balance approach, only because I can't find any groovy name to call it. Well, groovier name. For me, building a list is all about balancing three things. One, can this list handle mechanized lists and horde lists at the same time? I suppose really mechanized lists isn't really the same thing, but elite. Or elite and mechanized interchangeably here. Secondly, does the list have an appropriate amount of heavy hitters for both shooting and melee? And thirdly, can the list be both defensive and offensive simultaneously when needed, or if needed? Even though the Warboss lists are all orks, there is enough variation between them that I feel that they are representative of what you may face out there in the competitive scene. Now, what do I mean when I say this? Having a quick look at the meta, there are the following types of lists we are currently seeing. 1. Mobile and fast list designed to take board control early in the game. I think Dread's list fits here. Other factions that would suit here would probably include lists like Dakari and Ravenwing, to name a couple. And 2 would be a high-powered shooting list, which is quite defensive, also has a lot of armour. Now that's the role I see Steve-O's list playing, and I think in here other factions, mainly Space Marines, I would say would fit this point. The third type is hordes. Lots of bodies designed to use up all the board due to sheer numbers. Now, this is Skarner's list. Other factions you would see doing this sort of thing, I think currently are Death Guards and possibly Tyranids, to name a few. There could be others out there, but I'm not sure about that. And the fourth type is lots of bodies with lots of supporting fire. So I think Dim, the Hobbygit, his Grot Rebellion list fits here probably the best. Other factions you see this are typically Guard, or these days Space Marine lists. Also, when designing a list for a competition, I like to choose units which can handle Space Marines, and that is mainly because it still dominates my local meta, and as a wise person said to me recently, if you can design a Space Marine killing list, then you have also designed an orc killing list. One more thing, when designing lists, I choose units which I actually own. I'm not the sort of person to design then buy. I just don't have the money or time for that shenanigans. But if you can do that, if you're the sort of person who can do that, well then, good luck to you, and you shouldn't be ashamed if you do it that way. Each to their own. Now, with these principles in mind, let's have a look at each unit in detail, and I can just discuss why I chose the units I did. Let's start this list with the most important unit, a HQ, and my warlord. Yep, there he is, it's Brak the Warboss. Maybe it's ego, but I do like to feel Brak as my warlord. Or maybe it's because the Warboss is a beast and he is quite cheap with a power claw and a custom shooter at 83 points. Very cheap indeed. I like to give Brak 1, the biggest boss. That's from the Saga of the Beast. It's a stratagem and it gives an extra attack and wound. And let's not forget about that 4-up invulnerable save. Also, as a shiny gubbins, I like to give Brak the Killer Claw, so you can get to dish out that 3 damage by a weapon that allows the Warboss to hit on a 2+. Very tasty indeed. And for Warlord trait, I always favour Might is Right, giving him an extra strength and attack. Now this makes Brak one tough killing machine. Should I say he's a green, mean killing machine. Wherever Brak is, Doc Grod is sure to follow. The Doc is there to give Brak, and others, but mostly Brak, that added durability with a 6+ feel no pain. He can also heal wounds, so he's very handy indeed. But not only does Doc Grod protect, with those 4 attacks and a power claw, he can also hold his own in a scrap. I know a few of you are going to be scratching your head about this one, but please hear me out. I quite like the mech. This one's only 40 points and I had about 47 points to play with. So in this army, the mech's quite a good fit. What I really like about the mech is 2 things. He's great for Deathskulls, being infantry, and the custom Mega Slugger, which is a fantastic weapon, and it was sort of made with Deathskulls in mind. The Deathskulls clan trait, that is. Look, there's an option to fit him out with the shiny gubbins, which is the fixer-upper, and that lets him repair D3 wounds on a vehicle instead of 1. So that's not bad if your list includes vehicles. Spoiler alert, mine does. Next unit is another elite unit, Mega Knobs. Meet Gearguts Edbanger and his maulers. Yes, I named a model after an actual person. The reason I did this is because that is one of the things I offer to my Patreon members. So if you would like one of my models named after you, then please support me on Patreon, link below in the description. Now, this unit of 3 Mega Knobs is my hard-hitting melee unit. All 3 have double kill saws and are great for hunting down the big stuff. Also, experience has taught me that they are great for taking out eradicators if you give them a chance. I do find the stratagem Hit 'em Harder from the Saga of the Beast a great combo to use for this unit, turning a damage 2 weapon into a 3 damage weapon. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Do you? Next unit is a heavy support unit, the Bone Breaker, which is a variant of the battle wagon. For this unit I have chosen a dagger tank from the Gearguts range. I will be giving this beast the custom job Fortress, which gives it a 3-up armor save and a 5-up invulnerable save. I will probably put it and its crew in the teleporter hub so it can drop down in enemy territory and rip them a new one or two. I will be keeping the stratagem ramming speed up my sleeve to ensure it gets to crump the big stuff. Oh, and that D3 mortal wounds is the cherry on the top, so to speak. So here is Crusher with its crew, Brak, Dockrod, Gorgot and Gearguts and his maulers. Now I just had a quick look at the codex and I told a little fib. I can't use the teleporter because the total power level of this grouping is 27, well over the power level of 20, which is the maximum required. But never mind, the Bonebreaker has a 12-inch move plus a 3d6 charge range that the ramming speed offers. Now that gives the Bonebreaker potential threat of about 30 inches. So, I know, with the smaller table sizes and good deployment, I might have this. The second HQ unit choice is Drek the Mech, a big mech with custom force field to be precise. At 60 points, this is a nice cheap HQ that can provide protection to your army when needed. I'll probably leave him bare bones at the moment, no need for pre-game stratagems for this unit, especially for what I want to use him for, which is protection for the vehicle he'll be riding in. To join Drek the Mech, I have selected 10 knobs, which I lovingly call the Joy Division. No, I have not lost control with my naming convention, it's just because when I see these bad boys hacking away with their 2 double kill saws and 8 big choppers, it gives me joy to see me knobs doing division to the enemy ranks. Now these fellows have the potential to hit hard, real hard, and seeing that they are Deathskulls, they should find it relatively easy at stealing and holding objectives, especially when they have Drek the Mech to protect them with his custom force field. Here is Old Grumpy, which is a gun wagon with a kill cannon and 4 big shooters. The gun wagon has the periscope, which means that it can shoot twice if travelling half the distance. Real handy indeed. Now to make this shooting machine even shootier, I'll be giving him the custom job, the Boomer, which turns the kill cannon from a 24-inch range with D6 shots into a weapon with a 36-inch range, which can dish out 2D shots twice if you include the periscope. Imagine the damage you can inflict if you use the Mordaka stratagem. Very tasty indeed. Here is Old Grumpy and the crew, which is Drek the Mech and Joy Division. I plan to deploy Old Grumpy about midway into my deployment zone and have it slowly moving up the board, providing covering fire as it does so. Look, it's not really a distraction piece, but when you combine it with the Bone Crusher, it should make my opponent have a bit of a head scratch, trying to work out which one he or she should target first. Having Old Grumpy cover the back end of the field does make it easier for my knobs to jump out of the vehicle and make sure of any unit which has decided to deep strike into my deployment zone. Yet another elite choice. Have you worked out what detachment I am using yet? One of my favourite all-time units, this one, the Tank Busters. These guys are my heavy shooters. They have one job, and that is to shoot down the big vehicles. Now, if I'm unfortunate to face an army without any vehicles, then I'll just have to cop it on the chin and have a good laugh about the damage a rocket can do to a boy or a grot. Mushroom soup, anyone? Here is Betsy the truck. Betsy's job is to move the bomb squad to their target without being blown up. With a Deathskulls 6+ invulnerable save and the ramshackle rule, it has been my experience that the truck is deceptively durable and quite hard to kill. Just how I like it. P.S. Betsy does not have the wrecking ball, that's just for show on the picture, but it does have the stick bomb chucker, which I find very handy for getting rid of low toughness units such as grots or guard, just to name a few. Just a few more words about tank busters in trucks. It is a shame that we can't use stratagems when in an open top vehicle, but at least we have the ability to re-roll ones when targeting vehicles back again. But if there's one thing that bugs me about the tank buster truck combo, is that due to carrying capacity, you can't take the full capacity of bomb squigs allowable for 10 tank busters. Last elite unit in this army, I promise. Here are my Aussie beer keg commandos. I plan to put this unit in reserve so we can sneak in behind enemy lines and grab secondary objectives really early in the game, and if I use terrain to its advantage, then I might be able to get this unit to hang around a little while. Being a Deathskulls unit, they can take full advantage of the Zog off its mine rule, or as non-Deathskull players call it, objective secured. Now, to complement what is mostly a rapid moving army, I thought I'd add a buggy or two to the list. This magnificent looking specification of Orky engineering is one of my favourite models. I can and do stare at this thing for hours. I kid you not. The shock jump dragster is not only pretty, it's quite useful on the battlefield, and its ability to teleport all over the place and snipe that thing behind enemy lines is something that should not be overlooked. It has one of the few orc weapons, if not the only, which can hit on a 3+. This weapon was made for the Deathskulls rerolls in mind. If you take the custom job gyroscopic whirlywig and combo it with the stratagem temperamental shock drive, you can teleport this beauty in and out of that perfect sniping spot all game long. If the shock jump dragster is perfect for killing multi-wound single units such as vehicles or monsters or maybe even characters, the Boom Dakka Snazwagon is its opposite. It is great for killing numerous amounts of single wound models. I will be using the custom job souped up special. Now this beauty turns a 9-shot weapon with a 24-inch range into a 15-shot weapon with a 30-inch range. This is great for mowing down hordes of boys from a distance without risking the chance of being charged by said boys. I'll also be spending the 1 CP on the Grot bumper for that added protection from a high damage weapon such as a custom mega cannon. And also the idea that a lonely little grot can stop a high-powered weapon from destroying your vehicle is just very comical indeed. So orky, which is the main reason why I chose this weapon. Sorry, unit, not weapon. It's getting a bit late. Okay, there you have it. Almost 1,500 points of Deathskulls. Goodness. Well, 1,498 if we're going to be precise. Now, this is a pretty fast army. Or is it a fast, pretty army? I'm not so sure. What is the difference? Look, as you may have guessed, I am taking a vanguard detachment. I have chosen to go for elite infantry over infantry troops. Now, the main reason why people take troop choices is because they are objective secured. Now with the Deathskulls clan trait, which gives infantry models objective secured through the Zogoff It's Mine rule, troop choices are kind of redundant. Besides, all the elite choices I have brought bring something different to the table, a bit like a potluck of killing mayhem. Now for armies of this size, 1500 points, you start with 12 command points. Personally, I like to buy up big pre-game to get all those tasty buffs. In this list, I spend 10 command points pre-game, so that'll give me 3 command points at the start of the turn. Remember, you get an extra CP at the start of each turn. So that's just enough command points to pull out more DACA and possibly temperamental shock drive on turn 1. After that, well, that's anyone's guess. So what do you think? Oh, hang on, I haven't given this army a name. What do you reckon is a good name for this army? And that was my response 1500 point list to the Warbosses video they posted earlier this month. If you want to check it out, ding, there's a thing. So, what do you think? Does Brak and his herd of hard-hitting elites have what it's take to beat the Warbosses? Which one do you think I'll smash? And which Warboss do you think will smash me? Or which ones? Do you have an orc list you think can beat the Warbosses? Or do you have one that you think can beat me? Please comment below. Let's have a conversation. Now, before I go, if you liked this video, please smash that like button. And if you aren't a regular subscriber, please do so. And don't forget to press that notification bell so you can get all my latest videos. If you'd like to support me making these videos, because at the moment this is my full-time job, you can become a Patreon member for as little as $3 a month. I'll even name an orc model after you. However, if you feel you can't commit long term, you have the option to buy me a coffee. The link to both of these pages or apps will be below in the description. It's time for me to toddle off now, but before I go, I have just one more piece of wisdom for you. If you're going crumpin', you gotta bash early and bash often.